Coming up on this episode of 101 Sports.
The MLB playoffs are finally underway, and we're pulling out all the stops as our baseball experts tackle the postseason from every angle.
Plus, the NBA is trying to end flopping once and for all. But does their fine system go too far?
All that and much more, and it all starts right now. Hello and welcome to 101 Sports. I'm DiRienzo.
And I'm Curt Lestan. We have a great show lined up for you today, but first, let's kick things off with the starting five.
Baseball in October is back, and this year Major League Baseball has introduced a new wrinkle to the system. 2 wild card teams from each league now make the playoffs, and they each play each other in a winner-go-home game to open the postseason. Curt, now that we've seen this, how do you feel about this new format?
Joe, this is the greatest idea that baseball has ever had in my life.
Ever?
Ever.
Instant replay?
Oh, that was a good one too, but
I mean, it helps.
It does help, but this is the greatest idea they have ever had in my lifetime. I mean, if you think about it, towards the end of the year, in past years, it gets boring. You already know who's in. The races are already decided. There's no reason to watch. And then we had the epic collapse of the Red Sox and the Braves, and everyone freaked out and loved it. All they're doing is continuing that, and it is working.
Yeah, you know what? I think it's exciting. I think it's great. It's a great idea. It needs some tweaks. It does make the division, winning the division makes much more important because of this playing game. It's much more important to win your division. But
so what are your tweaks?
It's a little bit too difficult for a wild card team to move on into that second round because you're playing that first game, no days off. You play that second game and game 2 of the division series. That's 3 games in a row in the postseason. It puts you at too much of a disadvantage for me.
I agree that it'd be nice if you could spread it out more, but I love the fact that it's a one and done game. Yeah. It makes it so much more exciting.
It makes it a lot more exciting.
That I wouldn't change.
No.
Yeah, for sure. Detroit Tigers slugger Miguel Cabrera recorded the first Triple Crown in 45 years after finishing the regular season with the highest batting average, the most home runs, and the most RBIs in the American League. Joe, where does the Triple Crown rank among achievements in all sports?
I've been looking through sports. I'm trying to figure out a way to compare this to something else, but you can't. There's nothing in other sports that we watch right now, like baseball, basketball, football, hockey. I don't see something you compare it to. You could say the season triple-double in basketball. That's on a total different page. One person's ever done that.
Yeah.
And it's not feasible to imagine happening again. In pitching, it's 30-win games. The last one happened in '68. Not something you would expect. Ubaldo Jimenez was the last people expected to do it. He ended up with 19 that year. So, there's not something I can see comparing that to.
Joe, I have a question for you. Has Burger King ever sent you 3 birthday crowns and a $100 gift card?
No, but you could just take 3 crowns.
Well, Miguel Cabrera got 3 crowns sent to him and a $100 gift card. That means that this must be pretty important.
This year, the Boston Red Sox had a season their fans would love to forget. One day after posting the franchise's worst record in almost 50 years, first-year manager Bobby Valentine was fired. Now, Curt, obviously Bobby V had to have done something wrong to get fired, but is he all to blame or is he more of a scapegoat?
You know what? He's not even to blame whatsoever.
Really?
I have two ideas for you, okay? The first part is Larry Lucchino is the person to blame because Larry hired Ben Cherington as the GM. And then Larry decided to undercut Ben Cherington and hire Bobby V himself. And then Larry decided to not let Bobby V bring in his own guys. Okay, it all stems from Larry, and it's all Larry Lucchino's fault. But if you think about Bobby V, he did his job in Boston. Okay, hold on.
Okay,
listen here.
I don't know about that at first because Bobby V did a couple things wrong. He created a rift between him and Kevin Youkilis, one of the most loved players in all of Boston, a guy who he started off on the wrong foot. Dustin Pedroia wasn't a fan of him. Everybody on the team was not okay with Bobby Valentine. And yes, you have all that star power and stuff like that. You need them happy because you don't have team chemistry as it is, and Bobby didn't help.
Can I tell you how he did help, though, real quick?
Sure.
Think about the teams in Boston. Bruins won the Stanley Cup in 2011. The Celtics have been making deep playoff runs for years now. The Patriots are phenomenal as a football team with Tom Brady and Bill Belichick.
And
which team has been falling by the wayside? The Boston Red Sox.
Yeah.
Bobby V was brought in there for one reason and one reason only, was to get people talking about the Boston Red Sox again.
Didn't happen in a good way.
But it happened. He did his job. My turn. The NBA is tired of seeing players fake fouls or injury in order to gain an advantage on the court, and is looking to take action by creating a new deal that will fine for flops. Joe, does the NBA really have to do this, and are they going too far?
This is great. This is the perfect way to go about doing this. They did everything they had to do to make this rule work. The fines increase as you go. So yeah, the first time it's like a slap on the wrist, and eventually you're like, wait, why am I doing this anymore? It doesn't make any sense. And they've introduced this video, this flopping video, where they show examples of players exactly doing what they're going to call flopping, so that when players flop, they can't complain about it because they were shown already what not to do.
Yeah, I mean, clearly,
they did everything right.
Clearly, it seems like they've done everything right here, and everything you just said, I completely agree with. And you know what? You never want to be looked at a sport that is soft.
Right.
And you have players that are wimps and not tough players. Like, soccer has a reputation, and some people don't like soccer for it. The NBA doesn't want that.
Right, that's a reputation that soccer has. The NBA is trying very hard not to do it, and I think
rightfully so.
It's smart. It's a smart move. Sports fans have known to get a little worked up about their team's performances from time to time. But where do we draw the line? This past weekend, we witnessed fans in Atlanta throw garbage onto the field in protest of the umpire's questionable infield fly call, while cheers reverberated in Arrowhead Stadium as Chiefs QB Matt Castle lay injured on the field. Kurt, yeah, you pay for your seat, all that stuff. Where do we have to draw the line for these fans?
First of all, what was that long word you said with the R?
Reverberated.
I'll look it up. Okay, but where do I draw the line? It's a tough one for me. I very much
It shouldn't be tough. It shouldn't be.
But listen, I very much disagree with cheering when someone's hurt. I think that's wrong in any aspect. But the fans do pay their money. They pay a darn good amount of money to sit there. For the most part, I think they should be able to do whatever they want to do.
You know, here's my problem. When you think of a team in a city, the first thing you think of is the players, maybe the coaches. The next thing is the fans. The fans have a responsibility because they represent their city almost as much as those players do. You can't tell me. When you think of Seattle, you think of the 12th man. Those are great fans. People do think of the 12th man when they think of the Seattle Seahawks. That's a thing. People think of Boston fans. Yeah, I'm sorry. People say they're bandwagoners. That's a bad rep. But fans in Atlanta are going to have that representation now.
But that's not going to make any difference between a player going to your team or not. It just doesn't. They don't really represent the city that much. Yes,
they do.
But they don't, Joe. It's not representing the city. It's those drunken people who were in the stands that day. That's not a fair representation of the city.
Everybody there is in charge of what they do.
Yeah, and not everyone cheered when Matt Castle got hurt.
If you could hear the fans cheering and you could see the garbage on the field, that's enough.
But it's not everyone. It's a selective few who probably had too much to drink.
We have to take our first break. When one-on-one returns, we dive headfirst into the MLB postseason. Don't go anywhere.